So, hello everyone. Welcome to my show. Today I have a very special guest, and I'm very proud, and it's an honor for me that he has time to come to the show. And we will discuss some very, very interesting questions about the world and what's going on around the world at the moment, and what's going on. And is one of my most important teachers, a mentor. He teaches me a lot, and also he is well known for the best dirty jokes around the planet. So,
Going to be known
from,
for something, right?
from Hawaii, live in the podcast show here with Chuck Spezzano. So, welcome, Chuck, as an old friend, as my teacher. It's an honor to have you here in the show. Good to have you here. And you're live in Hawaii, right? You're at Hawaii at the moment.
Yes, I am. I'm looking out at the ocean right out my
Oh,
here.
so I think everyone is jealous at the moment because in Germany it's winter time, and when I look out of my window, it's fog and rain and cold and everything. So, so we are jealous at the beginning. So Chuck, I have some questions here about. So as I mentioned over the last weeks, I asked a lot of people and say, okay, I will have a podcast with Chuck. And do you have any questions? So and the first question, which came nearly 100% from everyone, is Boris, look around the world. It's a mess. Everything is nervous, is stressed out. People are nervous. Will my business will survive over the next 12 months? What's going on? Today is Trump is the new president of the US. What's going on there? We have the war in Russia. So everyone is really, really nervous. This was my feeling. So, and I know that you are looking a little bit deeper than general people, so to say. So, this is my first question to you. When you look around the world, what is your idea? What's going on? Should we be nervous or stressed, or what's going on? What's your feeling?
Well, you could be nervous and stressed, but it makes you ineffective.
That's a good
And,
answer.
and this is the time to do your best, do your
Mhm,
absolute best. I mean, if you think about it, worry is actually a form of attack.
mhm.
So when you think I'm worried about my family or this or that, I'm worried about my business. What is actually going on is you're kind of attacking it because there is a loss of confidence with worry.
Mhm.
Whereas if, to quote a friend of mine, if you use your trust, it's like it could unfold things
Yeah,
paradoxically and turn it into a happy resolution.
yeah.
You have all these questions for me, but I have one question for everybody out there.
Okay.
Why did you choose to come here now at this particular time?
On this planet.
On this planet. Exactly.
Maybe it was a wrong choice.
Maybe, but when I get into the deepest part of people's minds,
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it was a wrong choice.
yeah,
It
I think
seemed like
so.
it was a choice to make a difference, to do something about it.
Mhm, mhm.
And so it's really crucial not to be overwhelmed with the wave of what's occurring here in life. I mean, we're actually, since the 60s, we're actually in a swing toward the other side. It began to get really liberal then. It began to have a new vision, a new way of doing things. And now this is a return to the old way. My friend Robert Epstein said that yesterday.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
I've heard about it. Yeah, I heard about it. Heard about him. Yeah.
so, and now it's like, it may be low tide,
Mm.
in the world, but low tide is where you can pick up all the beer cans and all the garbage and
Yeah.
everything that's
So clean
cl-
up, huh?
exactly. And the first step, of course, is to clean up our mind
Mm-hmm.
and catch ourselves in negativity and transform it. Now, not to have toxic positivism,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just that just sets you up for a rude awakening.
Mm-hmm.
How rude, you
Could you
know?
could you explain a little bit what do you mean with toxic positivity? What do you mean with it? That's
I
very
mean,
interesting.
I mean denial.
Ah, denial. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you be Cleopatra, the queen of denial.
Yeah.
So it's important to pull back the covers and see what's really going on, because then you can make a difference when the covers are off.
Mhm, mhm. Always great. Always a good move. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, about 10 years ago, I was saying to everybody, it's like, be ready, because in a year or two, the collective unconscious is going to be pushing through, and there are going to be some major challenges.
Mhm, mhm,
And if we meet those challenges, what's going to happen is there'll be an easy birth
mhm,
for the world.
mhm,
So it's learning how to exactly transform the big issues out in the world and in your life.
mhm, mhm.
And the first thing, there's a principle, it's a Buddhist principle, which is, if you have a problem and you resist it, now you have two problems.
Yeah, you're right.
So the thing is how to be able to move with this problem, to align yourself, not to oppose it, unless it's really crucial, and then things are really down to a basic fundamental level. But before that, there are all these waves coming in, so it's learning how to align yourself with the wave, and then you can surf it.
Mhm,
But if you oppose it, a lot of times you end up drinking it,
mhm.
and I don't suggest that.
For sure. Do you have any idea? So I think most of the people at the moment has a feeling, especially in the business world, but overall with their families and whatever, they are under the wave. It's like too much. It's like overwhelming, so to
Yeah.
say. So do you have any idea? Should they more meditate, or do you have something like how do they start in the morning or whatever? What could they do to remember their strengths and the light and everything? Do you have any idea what people can do? Because this is what I hear very often, that people say, "Oh, Boris, it's too much. I go to an island. I wait till it's over. It's like it's too much." So, do you have any idea for what is your answer for that?
The answer is that when you've painted yourself into a corner,
Mhm.
look up,
Mhm.
because the answers that come then can't be solved at the level they're occurring. You need
Mhm.
a higher perspective, you need vision, and the highest vision, of course, is spiritual vision.
Mhm.
So you call for help,
Mhm.
and because there's always that heavenly connection that's waiting to help us, the Tao, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, you know.
Mhm.
So as you call for help, and then get your mind quiet enough to listen to your direction. And
Mhm.
if that takes meditation, great. Some people do it while they're doing other things, like they're watching a show, but part of their mind is working on something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like one of the great uh, some of the great teachers realize that I'm going to go to sleep now. It's nighttime, and I will put this question out, and then I won't try to control it, but I'll just ask for the answer, which way to go, what to
Yeah.
do. Looks impossible,
Yeah.
but heaven never uses the word impossible.
Mhm. Great.
So
Good
it
advice. Good advice.
wants to show us the way. And so when you reach a certain level, now the first thing is that much of what's going on in the world can be improved by your relationship.
Okay.
And that it's the power of relationships. In 1983, um, and 1982 and 83, I was teaching a course at a holistic health institute in Southern California.
Mhm.
And one of the courses I taught was called Healing Relationships. And it's about how at the root of every problem, there's relationship problems. And this can go very deep. But um, But the power of relationship is such that you're joining with another, your intimacy, your love, and the creativity that emerges from that can solve things.
Mhm.
My wife and I, back in our early days when our son was a baby and he had colic, and we were at our wits' end, just passing the baby back and forth. But we discovered that by joining with each other, dialoguing, what's going on, how you doing, how you feeling, all that important stuff. And after a while, we just stopped talking,
Mhm.
and we would just look in each other's eyes with the intention of becoming one, of joining mind to mind, of being of one mind, and that heals anything. And what we found is if we did that, we'd have a normal baby for a week.
Wow. Yeah.
It was one of the few things that worked. We had a friend of ours back at that time who was addicted to some heavy drugs.
Mhm.
And one time we put him in between imaginatively, and we start talking about everything around it and him and us and all this stuff until we could get to a point where there was nothing more to say, and we just kept joining each other.
Yeah.
And the next day, we got an email that said he had quit all heavy drugs.
Wow. Wonderful. Get chicken skin. That's great.
And it's the power of joining. It's the power of love.
Maybe this is also because I have also a question here from the people I ask about the split in the world, because the feeling is that at the moment we have a huge split going on in our societies, but also in the families. There's a lot of family troubles because there's a split in these families. So, and I think your answer is also perfect for healing this split, because the people have the feeling that the world fell apart. It's like there's plus, there's minus, there's black, there's white. I don't know. There's a lot of polarity going on at the moment, and it's going down to the family. So, and this is also what people are stressed about. They have fear about it, that their family is falling apart because there's the feeling of splitting everything.
Hmm.
Right.
Um, yeah, so we can go further
Mhm.
because the splits in the family are coming with the splits in the relationship, the
Mhm.
main relationship, typically you and your wife or you and your husband. And so there's that, and it can be fixed at that level. It's so powerful. But you can go deeper because our mind is full of I want it, I don't want it.
Mhm.
When you have, and this is comes from my study of the subconscious mind,
Mhm.
is like when you have something that you don't think you want to have happen, you want it, it's not following your script, you're upset with it. But if you went into the subconscious, you would find that people or situations are exactly following the script that you
Mhm.
gave secretly, and they're doing it perfectly. So
Yeah.
it's our split mind, and as we learn to heal that, then easy peasy. It
Mhm.
comes down to the greatest split in the mind. The one they say you hit just before heaven, just before oneness, is the split between yin and yang.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
know you've never had any issues with women, but I just want to mention that it's that kind of
I
different.
will cut this sentence. I will cut it out.
And that's our polarity. We want it to work, we don't want it to work.
Mhm.
We have a relationship. It starts with special love, with all the dreams and the
Mhm.
romance and everything, and then we get, wait a second, he's just a guy. He's not my prince. She's not my princess.
Yeah.
How come he has this problem?
Mhm.
You know, she should be a tantrika and a spiritual princess all at the same time. you
Yeah.
know we have clashing dreams in our mind,
Mhm.
and so we have chaos in the world.
Mhm.
But the world is a reflection of our mind, and what I want to teach people is how to be able to change your mind and change the world, to affect
Mhm.
the world by different things,
Mhm.
by the power of the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, I think that's a very important piece. So that brings me to another question here. Um, by the way, we have to talk. We have to talk because there was one question: will Chuck be in Germany in this year? And the answer is yes. But we will came later on this workshop. We have to talk about it. But the question I received is: many people read your books and everything, and what they see also when you hear your lectures and so you're going so deep, as your answer explained it very well. You're going very deep. So there was one question: how do you came to your method, the POV method or whatever? How did it start? How do you feel, or how do you get the entrance to this world? Because people are so impressed that your answer are always a little bit more deeper and more clear than they find other answers here. So how did it start with POV and everything? How do you, is there an inspiration coming to you, or what is it?
Come on, Boris, don't you like to do it deeper?
For sure. Always.
Yeah. And every woman I've questioned says she wants it deeper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, but it started back in the 70s.
Mhm.
And I was working as a psychologist for the US Navy at the Drug Rehab Center in San Diego. And the normal things in therapy that I was learning in graduate school, it just didn't have an effect.
Mhm.
The humanistic kind and things like that. And
Mhm.
then I began looking for deeper methods, and I checked out NLP and Gestalt, and they were very helpful.
Mhm.
But the first thing I started with was hypnosis,
Mhm.
and to find out where the root of the problem, and that's simple. Look into my eyes. So basically, I started like that, and that helped me get to the root of problems.
Mhm.
And being basically a lazy guy, I found a way to go right into the subconscious as easy as we're talking here,
Yeah.
because our intuition has the answer to everything. As we saw it, it's not always objectively true, but it as true as we saw it and experienced it. So using the intuition, you know, I would ask questions, and the answers that would come out were mind blowing to me. I
Mhm.
mean, I did really that, just and so I began to just look for a model that really helped.
Mhm.
And after about 4 years, a colleague of mine turned me on to A Course in Miracles, and
Mhm.
I thought I had made a lot of novel discoveries, and
Mhm.
almost all of them were in A Course in Miracles and
Mhm.
more. So
Yeah.
that was an inspiration to me.
Mhm.
Um, but also, I began finding things that weren't in there, like ancestral patterns
Yeah.
passed through the
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
And this affects bonding and affects the separation in a family. And unless it's healed, then it keeps getting passed down,
Yeah.
and the buck stops with us. Are we going to heal it now in our family with how it's showing as this distance?
Yeah.
Because that's what gets passed down. The lack of bonding gets passed down. And bonding, which is everybody wins, which is success is easy,
Mhm.
which is love is simple. It's
Mhm.
just being receiving.
Yeah.
But when there's separation and these unconscious patterns being passed down, then it can really, really hold us up. I mean, I saw it with my very first clients back in 1972, and I didn't understand, I could see the effects of it. There was like a rape being passed down every generation.
Mhm.
And it took me 2 years. When I don't understand something, I dwell on it, I look for it, I search for answers. And about 2 years later, I began to see this is being passed down through the family, and it can be changed, because that's heaven's will for us. Heaven's will doesn't have the word impossible.
Mhm.
It wants us to find the way. That's what this world is. It's a giant workshop where we're learning lessons. And
Yeah.
the more lessons we learn, the more confidence we have. And what I felt called to do was to just help people get out of pain.
Yeah.
People find a better way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Wonderful. Yeah, that's great. So this is I have to tell you the story. This is the reason why I don't know, 20 years ago or so, I all of a sudden sit in your workshop in Frankfurt. I still remember the time. And I sit there at the end of the last row in the last corner, and I say, okay, please help me out, but don't ask me anything. This was my first workshop with you. I have a lot of time. Um, I think what your answer is a perfect bridge, so to say, to your workshop in May. Let's talk about this workshop because I think it's a very, very important workshop, and there are a lot of people involved in it. And maybe we have to tell a little bit the people what is the background of this special workshop, because it's a special one. For me, it's very special because I'm German, because the 8th of May is 80 years ago, there was the finish day of the Second World War. And it was your idea to make a workshop about healing this stuff. Maybe you can talk a little bit about your idea to giving this special workshop, especially in Germany, especially in May, at this particular time.
I have a friend of mine who's a retired lawyer, and
Mhm.
he was in Bhutan on a happiness workshop.
Mhm.
And just the kind of camaraderie and friendships that you earn at a workshop. And he was talking to a whole group of young Germans, and including someone who's the head of a university, and they go, we can't be happy. And he said, well, why not? He said, because we just feel such heavy guilt from what our
Yeah.
grandparents and our parents and it's just too much. How could we be happy when they did stuff like that? And so he came away, and when he got back to Hawaii, he called me up and he said, 80 years ago, in May was when the peace treaty was signed, and he said, um, that's my birthday.
Mhm.
He says,
Oh,
I think I came to help or make a difference with that.
yeah.
And he started talking about, this ancestral problem. I said, well, I've been doing that kind of healing and know a number of different methods for decades.
Mhm.
And so yeah, let's get something started. And since I have so many connections in Germany, since I've been there over 80 times, and I have like over 50 of my books published there, that it seemed natural. I have some of the psychology of vision trainers in Austria and Switzerland and Germany. And so we began to galvanize toward setting something up, because of the challenges we're facing.
Mhm.
And so at first it began as this ancestral healing, and I met some colleagues, some dear friends who have some brilliant methods about forgiveness and healing ancestral problems. And I know a way. See, at the root of every problem there's a grievance.
Mhm.
So if you can dissolve the grievance, and a lot of times it's really hidden, the ego wants to really hide it. If you can dissolve the grievance, basically the problem flatlines,
Mhm.
and it's easy. It's not a mountain anymore, and the walls come tumbling down.
Mhm.
And so, over now 55 years of doing this healing work, it's like I learned a lot of different methods that were inspired right at the moment, working with people, things that people consider, oh, this is years worth of therapy. And basically, when I worked with the military, we didn't have that kind of time.
Mhm.
We had a 120-day rehabilitation process, and we had close to 100% success.
Mhm.
But then, the first thing to go in when you cut a military budget is the human resource programs.
Mhm.
So we went down to 90 days.
Mhm.
When we went down to 75 days, the statistics began to fall.
Yeah.
75 days of therapy. We eventually got down to 15 days of actual therapy, three weeks, 3 solid weeks. So it was either get better or give up.
Mhm.
So, I just decided I don't want to let these young men and a few women, I don't want to let them go without help.
Yeah.
I want to do everything I can to
Mm.
make a difference here.
Mhm.
This is what I'm called for. Get people
Wow.
out of pain, get people out of these problems, out of these addictions.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I can feel it. So I'm German. So and the funny part is my grandfather was a communist at this time and he go to jail in the Nazi regime. So my family was on the good side, so to say, or on the other side. But also I can feel the pressure of being German and all the story and all going around. So I was really into to help to go for this workshop and organize it here. And it will be on the 9th to 11th May. This is the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But there
Yes.
will be also something like, let's call it an opening or so on the 8th of May. Could you tell a little bit about what is the program on the 8th of May? This is something special, I think so.
The 8th of May, there we have some I'll be the master of ceremonies that night. We have some real experts coming in,
Hmm.
people who have done work, like Frederick has done work in so many years of studying forgiveness. He teaches he's a professor at Stanford. And so he'll be showing some of the ways he has of getting through things and how, at the root of happiness, there's some form of joining, some form of forgiveness, some form of integration. So he's going to be doing that. Then Carolyn Sakai, who has her methods of healing, she went
Hmm.
to Rwanda after the genocide and was working with some of the people there to reverse the intense damages that were done. We have my friend Damien, who he is coming in from Kenya, and he's taught in Europe. He lives in Greece, but also in Kenya now. And he and his partner Washington, who is a native healer, and they have some tribal customs about healing ancestral patterns, and
Wow.
and
Wow.
it's very, very powerful. They worked it with me. I was just transformed. It was
Mhm.
just I was so touched.
Mhm. Great. So a
And
lot of wonderful minds together, join together. It will be also online available. So if I right informed, so it will be online. Also a chance to see it online, especially also the 8th of May, so that we can go global around the world with the sealing program. And I think this is what it makes so special that we have a chance to involve a lot of people around the world with this uh,
exactly,
special healing. So.
yeah, they COVID prepared us to work online.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, we trained on it.
Before we had Skype and Zoom and all these other things, I would do phone sessions
Mhm,
around the world.
mhm.
But then we got Zoom and a better technology, and COVID really intensified our ability to become adept in working over the airwaves.
Yeah,
There's so many things to talk about. It's like that first evening's a free evening. People can come and tune
yeah,
in,
great.
experience that. That's our gift for the world. The next 3 days after that, Friday, Saturday, and
Mhm.
Sunday, I believe it begins at noon or 1 in the afternoon. And workshops have this magical ability, and three is a transformational number.
Mhm.
um, Buckminster Fuller, the scientist, calls it the building block of the universe.
Mhm.
And so we go through a transformational process. It's like a birth. And even if you think you're not getting anything out of it, if you stick with it, by the third day,
Yeah.
something miraculous can happen. New
Wow.
openings can happen. When I
Yeah,
used to attend workshops, I would go there because my mind would expand and it would
yeah.
get so creative. And so, but so much happens. Like one of the workshops in Frankfurt, about, hard to say, 15, 17 years ago,
Mhm.
um I was going around the workshop, and the name of the workshop was there. It was basically a workshop on transformation. Now, you excuse my German, please. I have great interpreters, but it was der Wunderwagen, which is like
Wunderwagen, yeah. Yeah.
And so I was going around and greeting old friends and seeing new people and just kind of going around the workshop. And I got about to the 8 o'clock position, starting at 12, and I heard the voice. And I always listen when I hear the voice. It says the name of this workshop is not Der Wunderwagen, it is Der Wunderwagen. And I ran up to my interpreter and I says, "What does this mean?" She says, "It's a miracle workshop."
Yeah.
I just got chicken skin all over.
Yeah.
Which is Hawaii for bullseye. And and then I went back and to the 8 o'clock position to continue this. And the voice said again, "Since the war, the souls born in Germany are the souls of peacemakers."
Mhm.
And
Oh,
tears just burst out of my eyes because I knew that to be true.
mhm, mhm.
So, and it was a miraculous workshop. I mean, almost every workshop is miraculous in that
Yeah.
sense, that it
Wonderful.
can give you new vision and see new ways and have problems fall away. And you
Wow.
can get to the next grade of your workshop of life or your graduate school or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Because when you get to a certain level, you are not only, you realize I'm not only responsible for myself, but I'm responsible for my family. I'm responsible for my company and their families. So I want to do everything possible to succeed. About 20 years ago, I was doing a business workshop in Honolulu, and a fellow had come from Taiwan,
Mhm.
and his company had, run into the flood back then, and it had flooded out his whole company, and his company depended on aluminum furnaces,
Mhm.
and the whole company was flooded, and basically everything stopped. And the common knowledge was you cannot once you lose an electric furnace, aluminum furnace like this, it's over, kaput.
Yeah.
So, but he goes, "No, I will not buy that
Mhm.
because I have 200 families depending on me."
Yeah.
So he went to his office and he didn't leave for a month,
Mhm.
and he just put his mind entirely, there is an answer, there is an answer. And after 30 days, he got the inspiration because he had called all around the world to all the experts, and they go, "No, no, you're lost. Sorry, too bad. It's over." And he goes, "I won't buy that." And so he just kept at it. And 30 days, the breakthrough came, and he realized how to start his furnaces again and how to get it all going and
Yeah.
to get everybody back to work. And,
Wow.
and he was an inspiration in the workshop.
Wonderful story. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So
So I think it's I think everyone should come to this workshop to Frankfurt. It is in Frankfurt, and I will put the link under the podcast here, so you can find the link. If you are interested to come, you can take your ticket. There's a limited space to be live on this 3-day event, and so you can get your ticket with the link. I will put it under the video here. Um, and I think it's in Frankfurt. So, and I think it's the first 3 days workshop you will give in Germany since, I don't know, many years. I think the last one is before COVID.
COVID,
Before
yeah,
COVID, right?
yeah, and just the last couple of years, we started doing the longer workshops again down at Lake Constance. But
Yeah.
this will be the first one. Later in the summer, there'll be an 8-day workshop.
Yeah, it's an 8 day, yeah. But this is the first three ones. Yeah,
This
great.
is, and they're so intense. The 3 days, it's like so many things can happen. So so many new
I
ideas.
will be happy to be part of this workshop. I'm really thrilled about it. So, and it will be a great success because it's the right time to heal all this stuff and everything. So I really love to be there in Frankfurt. I can't wait to be there.
Yeah,
So
there's so many things that we can do.
Mhm.
Like you want to be my example person? Yeah.
No.
Thank you for
Hey,
volunteering.
another one.
No, this is such an easy way.
Okay.
Uh, if you were to know
Mhm.
the biggest time in your life you got off the track, it was at the age of,
3.
right. 3 is in our generation, which is about 60 years worth of people. It's like the biggest trauma age is 3. So if you were to know, how far off the track did you get? Off of heaven's track, which is peace and love and ease and
I don't
purpose.
know. It's 80. I think 80 miles or whatever, 80 steps far away from the track.
Okay. So simply, you could ask just to be, ask your better angels to carry you back onto heaven's track.
Hmm. Yeah, it feels great. You know, you get back in the flow. Yeah, you get back in the flow. Yeah.
Now, something was going on with your family that somebody else was off the track, maybe the whole family.
Hmm. Yeah, the whole family for sure.
Yeah. So you could ask the angels, or you can ask anyone. You can ask Christ, you can ask Kuan Yin, Buddha. They're all on this. They're all on the same team. They're in oneness. You know, I joke around in Asia sometimes that sometimes Jesus and Mary, you know, they put on their Buddha and Kuan Yin costume and they come in, but they're all working for the same thing. I've seen the same thing happen here in Europe, but
Yeah.
it's like you can ask them to carry the whole family back to heaven's path.
Mhm. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Great. And now, if perchance you had something at 3, then let's go back to 3 months in the womb.
Mm.
Because I found after
Mhm.
doing this hundreds of thousands of times, you find different connections. So if there's a trauma in childhood, there's a trauma in the womb.
Mhm.
And that sets up self-destructive patterns. So at 3 months, how far did you get off the track?
Oh, much more. 1,000 miles, whatever. Can't
Ah,
see the way any from this position. It's too far
no.
away.
What happens basically in the womb are things coming down ancestrally and from past lives.
Hmm.
And so there's the metaphors in the unconscious mind, the soul mind, and you can change that too as easily as possible. Because in 1975 and 76, this stuff, you know, I've been doing ancestral stuff for a while in 1975, but past lives started showing up and they hadn't prepared me for this in graduate
Yeah.
school. But this was what was occurring. So, but anyhow, could you ask um, heaven to carry you back to your center at 3 months in the womb?
Hmm. I feel the life is coming back.
Yeah. And 3 is symbolic of your purpose, which is why we get wounded so much at 3. It's about victory and success,
Hmm.
and it's about friendship.
Hmm.
So the everything is symbolic actually. So if you know how to read the signs or read the symbols and things like that, how's that feel?
Great. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's just I feel the energy and the chicken skin. Yeah, that's great.
If you were to know who is having a problem back there beside you, because what I found is that when we're in the womb, we are like we feel everything going on around us.
Hmm.
We're psychic sponges.
Hmm.
And sometimes we take on things that don't belong to us. But
Hmm.
who is having a problem? when you were in the womb 3 months?
My dad,
And what's going on with your dad?
he was very stressed at the time. So he was very nervous and don't know how to handle the things, and it's too much. It's a little bit overwhelming. Yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, how much of that stress did you swallow?
90% minimum.
Yeah. And did it help him?
Not really much, no.
Yeah, because the next day he would have gone back and had more stress.
Mhm.
Okay. So now, can you give back to your father what belongs to him and welcome back to you what belongs to you? Because you have been in fusion with your father.
Mhm.
And it's crazy. Whenever we're wounded, the first level is we separate, which is the heart of all problems, separation. But underneath it, then we get so utterly lonely. And the ego says, oh, let's take care of that. I have a perfect method. And it gives you fusion. So you
Yeah.
don't know the boundaries between you and your father.
Mhm.
So then you become like two magnets
Mhm.
that are over close,
Mhm.
losing your individuation, but repel each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I can feel it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's a good
But
point.
now, Boris, you brought in a soul gift to help your father at 3 months in the womb. And
It is.
ease,
Yeah.
but it's also ease because you have history of success. You have brought in ease and success.
Yeah. Yeah. E-success is a very good combination for me. Yeah. I really love it. Yeah.
When you give yourself wholeheartedly, the paradox is it's not hard, it's easy. If you
Mhm.
give yourself 99%, it's a bitch. It's a schlimpa, you know.
Yeah.
But so so now would you give those gifts to your papa energetically at 3 months? Papa, I've come to help. I've come to buoy you up.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
So, and how's he seem to be doing back there?
It's great. It's yeah, there's the pressure is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
then you just become more yourself.
yeah, I can
You
feel
don't
it.
have to
Yeah.
force yourself. And so you would have a tendency to react if anybody tried to force you to do anything.
Mhm.
I know you've never felt that in relationships, but just just but it's like where there's that faith, where there's that trust,
Mhm.
and that's the power of your mind.
Mhm. Wow. Good
So
stuff.
yeah,
Really
it's
great.
like
Yeah,
it,
it
it
feels
see,
wonderful.
the whole purpose of this work is to get people out of pain, to empower them for their purpose and their destiny.
Mhm.
And your purpose is a way to always feel good about yourself. Let's say you're having a trauma,
Mhm.
you're on your knees with pain, feels
Mhm.
like company's going down, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
there's a thing I found that addresses that. And that is that um, when you're in that pain, it's like you just feel like overwhelmed and things like this. But if you remember, there is a birth, there is a way out, and you just ask, who needs my help?
Mhm.
So there's all this wall of pain, but it's just ideas, it's just
Mhm.
emotion. There's
Mhm.
no real substance unless you give it that.
Wow. Yeah.
So if I said to you, Boris, who around you need your help right now?
Right now, Petra.
So there's a friend of yours. So would you step through anything, any self-attack? Because all attack actually is self-attack. And you step through that and you just go love and support her.
Mhm. Yeah, I could do it.
Yeah. And it moves you both forward. Now, if you're called to do something beside sending that love, you'll be inspired with it. I mean, you don't want to show up at somebody's doorway at 3 in the morning. I've come to help. Never. You know, it's like,
Yeah, I
but
know. It
you
feels
know,
great. Yeah.
you get back in touch with yourself.
Mhm.
I mean, one of the things I've found is that so many people are just ghosts.
Mhm.
You know, every trauma, every setback, every conflict, they moved away from their center. They moved away from heaven's path.
Wow.
And every time we withdraw, and most people have withdrawn thousands of times, you know, it's one of the forms of anger,
Yeah.
especially if you have somebody who's a tiger and really attacking. Then how you thwart them is you withdraw, but you do that at a cost to yourself.
Yeah.
Just like if you're angry, you're doing it at cost to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I can't wait to see you in May for this workshop. It's so deep stuff. I really love it. I really, this is the point where I fell in love with you when I first sit in your workshop and I say, "Oh my goodness, what is he talking about?" So this is the point, and I'm really thrilled to see you in May to this workshop, and I hope.
And I thought you just came for the jokes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. At the end, it's a joke, to get the joke, all the dirty jokes. That's great. So Chuck, we will have an opportunity, and I'm very, really thankful for it. We have an opportunity to have a second podcast in the next week. So we will have two parts. This is a warm up,
Uh-huh.
and we will see what's going on in the second part.
Mhm.
But before we go on, because you have to go to your workshop today, and so a personal question which I reached last week from a woman is, so Chuck is maybe enlightened. Do Chuck have any problems at all? Do you have any problems at all, or do you sit there and laughing and smiling and telling dirty jokes and eat some steaks? I don't know, and drink some whiskey. I don't know. So this was really a question people asked me about. Please ask Chuck, is he enlightened? Do he has any problems? Whatever. I don't know.
Well, I have problems. You know,
Yeah,
everybody has problems, and they are um, the further you go, the bigger the problems get,
yeah.
a- and the deeper the pain is. But I've found that you can move through any pain. You know, we hit spots where we seem to lose connection with ourselves, with life. You know, people reach the place of valueless, or they're in such pain they just want to die, or they feel so valueless they want to die, or their life is so meaningless they want to die. I was just writing about that this morning.
Mhm.
um, so yeah, I have problems, and but my life is so much better. I mean, when I was young,
Mhm.
um, in my 20s, I was, a hot mess emotionally, and I decided I had to get out of this. I was
Yeah,
gonna. This was crazy, and my relationship sucked.
yeah.
And even even though I was a young doctor and very buff and things like this, but why wasn't it working? I wanted to understand it, and then I found what was going on, and
Mhm.
then I began to change that. And so now people bring me their problems, and subconsciously or unconsciously, that's part of me.
Yeah,
So it's like as I can get them through that, we all win.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm facing problems. You know, my wife and kids, they face problems. My friends are facing problems, and it's all mine. You
Mhm.
know, I take responsibility for that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I look for ways like how can I help my wife at the things that she's dealing with. It's at this unity level of the mind, which is all collective stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what the workshop is going to be. It's all about dealing with collective issues.
Mhm.
For instance, in November, I had just come from Beijing, 2-day workshop, and Liang, a 5-day workshop in China, and I was in Singapore for a 5-day workshop. And the night before the workshop started, my promoter tells me about this woman who used to do the comics, the Japanese comics, manga comics, and she gave it up at some point when she was at the top of her game, when she was really successful, because she started having prophetic dreams that were like 95% accurate. Sometimes the timing was off by 5 days or something like that, or things like that. And she said she predicted that in July of 2025, there's going to be 2 100-foot tsunamis hit Japan, and it will destroy a third of Japan. And I thought, holy smokes. This is at a collective level. This is unity level stuff. And I know some things about that. So I dedicated that workshop to getting to a point where we could make a difference, where that need not be, as it says in the Course in Miracles. And so for the first 4 days, it was very deep, very intense, lots of fun. But then the 5th day, we start working on collective issues, how to save the world.
Yeah.
And how we save the world is by unifying. Now, the polarization is the opposite of that. And we seem to be split into 2 camps. But now, it's like for 60 years, 65 years, we've been in this move toward one side of the pendulum, which was liberal. And now it's moving to the other side of the pendulum, which is conservative or even right wing. So, and it's learning how to prosper no matter what side it's on, how to join that side so that it doesn't, create opposition, which when there's conflict, basically there's 2 parts of our mind at war, and that extends out to our relationships and family, and then it extends out to the world. So there's this huge polarization going. And that last day was beyond anything I could have thought of at that point. It was just truly an inspired day. But we began making inroads about unity. At one time, I mean, here's one aspect. We were all in oneness. We were all in heaven. And then somebody got an idea like, hey, I want to be special. I want to make my own world. And, with that, everybody goes, yeah, let's see what that would be like. And that created that fall from oneness. Now, I mean, there's different things like that, but my thing is I've worked through the mind and seen the truth of that. And how to reverse that part of the mind that kept making the mistake for separation until we got bodies. And that really proves we're separate, because you're over there and I'm over here, and maybe we get together on a Saturday night, but after that separation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, it's like some of these things I'm going, really? It's like that inspiration. Really? Will that work? And then the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. And so if it works and people get empowered and people dissolve their pain and it works continuously, then there's a method I can count on. But the most important thing is to be, present. And what is the inspiration? What can help us now? So, for instance, here's a common thing where people want to die is, see, we tend to compensate for our pain and separation. But each time we separated, which means each time we judge someone, and we're constantly judging every second, every minute, every hour, we're judging people in the world and things like this. But what you do in terms of judgment comes back to you, and it attacks you and it attacks your value. So Valuelessness. Here's one of the things that can help valuelessness.
Very important.
I just told you what can help when you're in terrible pain. You extend yourself, you reach out, and you pop that that sense of dying of pain, and you have a birth. And sometimes there's many creative gifts that come from something like that. And there's so much to heal. Valuelessness. So simply do this, Boris. Ask heaven. I mean, there's many ways to heal valuelessness. This is the quickest. You ask heaven, what's my value? What's the words that pop in?
Spirit.
And how's that feel?
Wonderful. It feels like peace. I think peace is a
Yeah.
It's like calming down.
Yeah. And all the way to mastery. The first stage of mastery after vision and creativity is like healing all those places of failure and valuelessness, and basically getting your wholeness back, so that your being, your destiny, has the power to change the reality around you. Because here's a deep thing in the unconscious. The world is a reflection of our mind. And of course, that's all repressed, that's all buried. But as soon as you get in touch with that, you realize, oh, well, I can make a difference here. I can change my mind.
Yeah. I'm coarse, yeah.
There used to be this old hymn in Hawaii, which was, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
Wonderful sentence. Oh, that's a good sentence. I really love it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good one. I really love it.
Because peace radiates out like joy. It radiates out. Happiness is infectious. Love is infectious.
Wonderful.
And we want to get, and mastery is a place where just your being makes a difference. You show up and things change for the better.
That's a wonderful final idea for this podcast. So we have nearly 1 hour together here. We've had nearly 1 hour together here, and we will have a second part. And I can't wait to see you for the second part of this podcast. And again, there will be this special workshop in Frankfurt with Frankfurter Ring, and I put the link here on the podcast, so everyone is invited to get the tickets now. There's a landing page where the people can get the tickets, the entrance tickets for the workshop. And I can't wait to see you in May. And I can't wait. Oh, you have something more.
Yes, it's pressing. It's pressing.
Sure.
Okay. How would you like to get through the worst event of your life? Because these events actually create self-destructive, self-defeating patterns. How would you like that?
Sounds great. Yeah.
We got 8 minutes, 10 minutes. It's, it's all good. So
you have to go to your workshop. So I don't want to interrupt your schedule. So
I'm fine. They can't start without me. And
okay.
So, tell me, if you were to know, how old were you at the worst event of your life?
Right at birth.
This is so important, because birth shows your soul pattern. And what was going on at your birth?
Oh, I was shocked. This was the first idea which came in. I was shocked about, oh my goodness. What's going on here? I don't know. It was like it was like the feeling of let me die. I'm out. That's my business. That's not my business.
Okay. I mean, I know I was born in upstate New York in the middle of winter, and I was born in the middle of a blizzard, and it took a snowplow to get me out. And my mom was so drugged, so I was so drugged, and so she was gone, and I had to do the birth on my own, basically.
Oh my goodness.
They weren't so big on cesareans back then. Anyhow, but that was a birth pattern. But as soon as I was born, I was going, it's so cold. I want to warm things up around here. You know, that's like my first memory. Anyhow, back at your birth, shock. That's a kind of a crucial thing. Now, you said, yeah, I want to die. How much have you died right then, if you were to know?
98%.
Oh my God. So where did you bury that in your body? That
I think in my legs. I don't know. That's the first idea which came in.
okay. Yeah, you just trust that intuition.
Yeah.
So if you let's let's call in Buddha
Hmm?
and ask him to go collect those selves that died right there at birth and to blow you and Buddha blow the sacred breath of life back into those selves and into your legs. Yippee. Now you'll probably be able to dunk
Yeah.
after that. So now imagine Buddha carrying that self, having blown the sacred breath of life back into you. And as he carries it with divine love up to your present age and melts it into you so that the channel to heaven, to joy, is open even more, and that the wires that were cut in your heart, your mind, and your body get reconnected.
Hmm. Yeah.
How does that feel?
Well, wonderful. It feels like to be free.
And now any kind of trauma separated you from your family,
Mhm.
which creates a level of alienation and maybe even
For sure.
yeah. And it's like saying, hey God, you really screwed up here. You know, I have to deal with this. Well, of course, by definition, God could not have willed that. You know, his will for us is perfect happiness.
Yeah.
And so it was us going, you're a bad God, get off the throne, belongs to me.
For sure.
What
Yeah.
I found, about 12 years ago, 15 years ago, was there's a level in the unconscious that's very bad attitude. And even the most positive people in the world. I mean, I've worked with surgeons and professors, and they're having this catastrophic illness, and they have this level going on that's fighting the healing.
Mhm.
Mm. So anyhow, it's like this shifts that first level, which is that utter alienation and that misery, and it transforms it.
Mhm.
And you can ask for, first of all, holy family bonding with you and your family. You can ask that from Buddha.
Mhm.
And you can ask that in your own mind because your mind got split. Part of you, you're Mr. Life. You love, enjoying life and having it
Yeah.
be really full. But there's 98% of you that's been going in a different direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And it's deep in the mind. And this pattern, and that's just the first layer of that bad attitude part. So, but it's like, oopsie, my bad, you
Mhm.
know, Entschuldigung,
Yeah.
Debuchy.
Yeah, I can feel it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's
And
great.
you put yourself back. Now, Boris, if you have something like that at birth, it means that actually the problem started at conception.
Mhm.
So that's when you're listening, just that little point, you're less than that inside. But, to have become you at conception, it means you swam what is metaphorically is basically equal to swimming the Atlantic Ocean.
Mhm.
What a swimmer, huh? Yeah. And then you did a dance contest in front of the egg to,
And I won.
and you won. And here you are, Boris, magnificent. So, but who was having a problem at conception? Mom, dad, both?
I feel both.
And what was going on with them?
Also, the feeling of stress and have to do a lot of work and responsibilities and don't know how to handle it.
Mhm. So, you haven't ever felt that way, right? Just
Many, many times.
yeah. And
All my lifetime.
yeah, well, you swallowed it there at conception. Now, a lot of people saying, "How could this happen in the womb?" But I can tell you this with a certain authority that I've done this probably over 20,000 times back in the work in the womb. And the thing is, it changes people's lives. So hey, works for me, and it works for so many other people. So back at conception, could you ask Buddha again for holy family bonding?
There comes a lot of peace in it. Yeah.
And can you ask then to bring, what soul gift did you bring in for your father?
It's again success with ease. Yeah.
And another one popped into my mind. How about trust?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's what you came to bring, right?
Yeah. It's my last book. So
So give that to your parents.
yeah. Yeah.
What gift did you come to bring for your mom?
Joy and happiness.
So just share that with her. Just extend that. There is no problem that doesn't have a gift underneath it. And so if you get the gift immediately, it can dissolve the whole problem, actually. But most people actually choose the problem because it gives them control. It gives them pain too, and stress and all these other things. But
Yeah, I think the point is control then. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good point. Really a good point.
yeah, it's like you could choose the gift and a whole new way, a better way, which is closer to heaven's way, or you could choose the ego's way, and then it's a whole pattern.
Yeah.
Now, that this happened at conception said it's been a soul pattern. So where your ancestors and your past lives meet, that was that whole, but all of a sudden you're changing it now with the power of now. And even you're working now to change the past, because all problems are from the past.
Yeah.
It's all karmic. But let me say this, those two incidents, conception and birth, how many catastrophic illnesses did that save you?
12 minimum. It's the
Yeah.
first idea I came in. I don't know. 12. Yeah.
And it's an easier life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's like your plan and heaven's plan start aligning,
I can feel it. Yeah, that's wonderful.
and you get more powerful. And so, I mean, real power is not about domination. That's like you become the jailer for a prison. Real power is empowering other people. It's helping them to find the way. That's what a leader does. And when you're a visionary leader, you help that for the world. You become that level.
Yeah. Wow.
Everything is moving toward an evolution of letting go of the material and becoming more spiritual. First of all, you become the hero. You become the best that humanity has to offer.
Yeah.
And then when you graduate, when you complete that, then you move into your destiny, which is, of course, your being and who you are. People get substance just by who you are, but then there's your spiritual being. Then you become the best that you can be as higher self.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Self-realized, that's spiritual. So when you paint yourself into a corner, look up. There's a better way. And at this stage for the world, it needs partnership. What I found is we, deep in the mind, we all promised that we would bring the world to partnership. Now,
Absolutely. Yeah.
the challenges are getting greater, but unity, so this stuff that's pushing through collectively, that's creating fires and volcanoes, destructive volcanoes and floods and all of this, it's like this is deep in our minds. And first we can change it in our mind, and then we have authority to help the whole world.
Chuck, it was deep, it was wonderful, and it was only the warm-up for the second part. I can't wait to see you next week for the second part, and we will see what trouble we will be then. So we will see. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you a wonderful workshop day. Thanks a lot that I have the opportunity to talk to you. And I can't wait to see you for the second part of this podcast. And then we will see each other in May in Frankfurt. And I can't wait either to see you there. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
So